Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California. And this was their Fallout show for Double or Nothing, which Double or Nothing was on Sunday. And I did watch Double or Nothing. I tuned in after I got out of work. I missed the buy-in and the first hour of the show. But I thought the show was awesome from what I saw. We also had the debut of Athena, aka Amber Moon, which was awesome. And it looks like she's going to be the next to face Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. But I knew Athena was going to go to AEW. So good that she's there. Hopefully they use her well in their women's division. We also had the debut of Stokely Hathaway. Now, if you all know who Stokely Hathaway is, he was once known as Malcolm Bivens in NXT. He managed Diamond Mine. So he got released from WWE and then signed with AEW here. Now he's being called Stokely Hathaway, and he is managing Jade Cargill and the baddies, Red Velvet and Kiera Hogan, to which Stokely Hathaway, he fits in with Jade Cargill and the baddies. He fits in more than Mark Sterling did. So Mark Sterling, he's not with Jade Cargill and the baddies no more because he's now managing Toni Nese. But it was good seeing Athena and Stokely Hathaway make their AEW debuts. So, and then we also saw the Anarchy arena match, the Anarchy in the arena match, where it was Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, and then Eddie Kingston, Santana Ortiz. In my opinion, that was the best match of the night. That match was awesome from beginning to end. Very bloody. Eddie Kingston was a bloody mess. And as the guys was brawling, like at the beginning, Wild Thing, Moxley's song was still playing while these guys were brawling, which I thought Wild Thing still playing while the guys were brawling fit really well. A lot of people were like, oh, that was a botch. The guy who's controlling the music, forgot to turn Wild Thing off, as we get the match started. That wasn't until Jericho pulled the plug on stopping Wild Thing from playing. But it was a awesome match, the best match of the night, to which the Jericho Appreciation Society ended up winning it. We had the Jurassic Express versus Keithley, Swerve Strickland, and Powerhouse Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks. The AEW World Tag Team Championship was on the line, to which the Jurassic Express ended up retaining the titles. And we had no heel turn from Christian Cage, which, I was predicting that Christian Cage was going to cost the Jurassic Express the AEW World Tag Team Championship for them to lose it. And I thought that the titles would be going on Keithley and Swerve Strickland. But unfortunately, the Jurassic Express retained the titles. But it was a good match between them. Yeah, if you hear thunder outside, it's raining and thunder in here. But we also had Warlow versus MJF at Double or Nothing, to which Warlow defeated MJF. If Warlow ended up winning, he was granted his release from his contract with MJF and signed by AEW. And if MJF ended up winning, Warlow will be banned from signing with AEW. So Warlow ended up winning the match, and all this news came out about MJF, and Tony Khan. They're at button heads with each other. There was talks of MJF getting the plane ticket and not appearing at Double or Nothing. He would get a plane ticket, not even be at the pay-per-view and go back to Long Island. But fortunately, MJF did show up to Double or Nothing. And when he came out, I saw a clip of it. It looked like he didn't want to be there. And from what I heard, after his match with Warlow was over, after Warlow ended up defeating him, he left the arena. MJF left the arena. And there was all this talk before Double or Nothing that MJF didn't show up at Fan Fest. And that somebody said that he saw MJF playing in the casino. So he didn't want to do Fan Fest, but he's in the casino. So that's all the news that came out about MJF before Double or Nothing went live on Sunday. There was talks of MJF and Tony Khan sitting down and negotiating, with his contract and stuff like that. But that was the news that came out, like I said, with MJF before Double or Nothing on Sunday. You had the Hardys, Jeff and Matt Hardy. They ended up defeating the Young Bucks. Jay Cargill defeated Anna Jay to retain the TBS Championship. Julia Hart is now part of the House of Black. So she's now with Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, which obviously I knew that Julia Hart was going to be with the House of Black. And then you had Adam Cole and his girlfriend, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Both of them won the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Britt Baker won the women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Adam Cole ended up winning the men's tournament. So the couples ended up winning the tournament. Adam Cole and Britt Baker. Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb was a good match where Thunder Rosa retained the AEW Women's World Championship. You had, in the main event, CM Punk end up defeating Hangman Adam Page with the AEW World Championship on the line. And Punk is the new AEW World Champion. And it's going to kick off the Summer of Punk once again. But happy that Punk is the AEW World Champion. Page had a good run with the title, even though he was out for a bit. But he was still enjoyable with the AEW World Championship. And that was my thoughts on Double or Nothing. Overall, awesome show it was. And as for Dynamite tonight, this was a awesome show from beginning to end. The 2 hours flew by, and the first hour, in my opinion, was great television. Absolutely awesome. And in my opinion, this was one of the best Dynamites of the year. And I know one of my favorite YouTubers, Rangers of Wrestling, aka Datilla, was at the show tonight and commented on her video because she posted a video while she was there live at the show and wrote the show was awesome, and she already gave the show a Ty Dillinger or Sean Spears 10 out of 10 show. But glad that she enjoyed it. But it was an awesome show. But tonight on Dynamite, we had CM Punk and FTR. They teamed up to take on Max Caster and the Gun Club, Austin and Colton. We had the return of Miro. Finally, Miro is back on AEW television. And he ended up taking on Johnny Elite. John Morrison. Now they're calling him Johnny Elite. And we had a 10-man tag where it was the Young Bucks, Redragon, and Hiku. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And they ended up taking on the Jurassic Express, Christian Cage, Darby Allin, and Matt Hardy. We had Warlow versus JD Drake, Ruby Soho and Toni Storm versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. In the main event, we had Jon Moxley versus Daniel Garcia, and we saw MJF. MJF ended up cutting the best promo of the year, in my opinion. It was absolutely awesome. So I'll get to explain that when I talk about that promo. But overall, Dynamite tonight, awesome show from beginning to end. Best Dynamite of the year, in my opinion. But let's jump right into the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with CM Punk, the AEW World Champion, and FTR, the top guys. They ended up teaming up to take on Max Caster and the Gunn Club, Austin and Colton. And this was a good match here. This was a good 6-man tag. So Punk ended up coming out first. And then we had FTR. They ended up making their way out. Then we have Max Caster and the Gunn Club. They came out. Billy Gunn also came out, rolling down Anthony Bowens in the wheelchair, who was still in the wheelchair. Max Caster ended up doing his rap to Punk and FTR. Max Caster was claiming that they're going to make his opponents pay like Amber Heard, the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. And he was stating that FTR needs to ride CM Punk's coattails to get on the show. So it was just Max Caster saying that. And then the Gunn Club was like, Sacramento! They thought that Dynamite was in Sacramento. And when I heard Tony Schiavone on commentary, he kept saying, the dumbass guys, which I thought was hilarious. That made me laugh. He said that to the Gunn Club. And then Anthony Bowens got on the mic and he was like, Los Angeles! So, and then the match kicked off. Dax Harwood started off the match with Austin Gunn. Austin Gunn ended up dropping Dax Harwood. Harwood came back, delivered a chop to Austin Gunn. And he ended up tagging in Cash Wheeler. So FTR, they started working together. They ended up bringing down Austin Gunn. Colton then came in and he ended up getting laid out with a back body drop and some hip tosses. Max Caster then tagged in. It led to Punk getting involved because Cash Wheeler ended up taking control of Caster's arm. Caster ended up taking Punk in the corner. Punk ended up coming back and delivered an elbow and a crossbody to Max Caster. Wheeler ended up coming back in. He ended up nailing a power slam from the top rope onto Caster. And Harwood ended up getting back in. Harwood ended up going for the cover. Caster kicked out. Austin Gunn then ended up quickly tagging in. Harwood ended up finding his way out of the corner, which led to Austin to drop Harwood at his ankle. And that allowed, the Gunn Club and Max Caster to regain control of the match. Billy Gunn then ended up taking a cheap shot at Harwood. Harwood ended up fighting back. He ended up sending the Gunn Club and Max Caster out of the ring. He ended up dropping Colton inside of the ring. So Caster ended up launching Harwood into the turnbuckles. He was looking to go for the cover, and Harwood ended up kicking out. So he had Harwood end up playing Caster with a German suplex, and he followed up with a double clothesline. Caster ended up getting up. He was looking to go for the sharpshooter, but He ended up finding out of it for Austin Gunn to come in. Harwood ended up tagging out, and Punk ended up slipping off the top rope, taking out Austin Gunn. And there's a point where Billy Gunn ended up standing on the apron. He was looking to get into the ring. He did the DX pose, and Austin Gunn ended up going for a roll-up. Punk then ended up hitting a powerbomb to Austin Gunn, which sent Austin into Billy Gunn. And then Punk then nailed a GTS into the big rig. And there you go. Punk and FTR ended up winning the match. Post-match, Punk ended up getting on the mic. Punk ended up saying that he's never done drugs, but he guesses this is what it feels like. Of course, Punk is straight edge, the straight edge society when, he was in WWE. So Punk ended up saying that he knows he needs to get better. And this is what the AEW World Championship is about. Punk ended up saying that his road to be here is littered with mistakes. And he will keep learning from those mistakes. And people can say positives or negatives, but they can call him a champ. So then Harwood ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that the things Punk hasn't done, he has. And this is what it feels like. So Harwood ended up putting over his wife and his daughter who were in attendance tonight at the show. He ended up saying that they're the only things that mean more to him than pro wrestling. Harwood ended up saying that when you attack him and Cash Wheeler, it doesn't sit well. He ended up saying that if you're from a different company or the same company, he was like, sorry, Finlay, bring your ass out here and he will kick it. So then Punk got back on the mic. Punk ended up saying for New Japan, NJPW has some of the best wrestlers in the world. And of course, AEW is teaming up with New Japan. They're going to be doing the Forbidden Door show at the end of the month, which should be a very good show. He ended up saying that he knows the Forbidden Door is back there. And that he wants to know who he's got. He wants to know who he's facing at Forbidden Door. And then out came Hiroshi Tanahashi. So he ended up coming out on stage. And that was that. From what I heard, Hiroshi Tanahashi has held New Japan for a while. And so Tanahashi is going to be Punk's opponent for the AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door. So should be a good match between the both of them at Forbidden Door. But overall, good six-man tag from Punk and FTR and Caster and the Gun Club. And then we had MJF. MJF ended up coming out. He came out, he was looking pissed off. And he cut here one of the best promos of the year, in my opinion. I loved the hell out of this promo that MJF ended up delivering. And basically, he was just talking about Tony Khan, just saying, he's been wanting to sit down with me for a while, but it's too little too late. MJF and Tony Khan, Tony Khan wants to sit down with MJF so they could discuss, contract stuff. And it's one of the main reasons why articles were leaked out on Sunday, claiming that MJF basically didn't want to do Double or Nothing, and he wanted to get a plane ticket to get out of Vegas and go back to Long Island. But like I said, he was at Double or Nothing. He came out. He had the match with Warlow. And Warlow ended up beating him because of story and because of the news that broke out, with MJF. All this stuff with MJF and Tony Khan, them coming to agree with stuff. There's MJF going on and teasing on going to WWE, which, please don't. I don't want to see MJF in WWE, because if he goes to WWE, he will just be another Miz 2.0. That's what MJF will be if he goes to WWE. He'll be another Miz. And he won't be delivering promos from what he has to say. It will all be scripted. They will give MJF scripted promos for him to go out there and say. But MJF got on the mic and he ended up saying that he's in a lot of pain right now after Sunday. He ended up saying that all the people want to hear him talk. MJF wanted to say that it would be a real shame if something bad happened tonight, as there are a lot of important people in the audience. He then went on to say that Tony Khan has been wanting to sit down with him for a while, but it's too little, too late. And he ended up saying that this is Max Freeman talking. MJF ended up saying that everyone was handed a ticket at the start when AEW started, but he had to write his own. MJF wanted to say that he created moment after moment for the company, and he still gets no respect. MJF, deserves all the respect. He's created, like you said there, moment after moment for the company. And everybody drops what they're doing, and whenever he gets on the mic, they all listen to what he has to say. The guy is that talented. This guy is going to be the next AEW World Champion. So, MJF ended up claiming that nobody is on his level, and there's nothing he cannot do. MJF ended up saying that he expected to hit grand slams, and he does that shit on a weekly basis. He ended up saying that he has to be perfect, and he's held under a microscope, as he's the only guy capable of carrying the company. MJF wanted to say that it is interesting that he hears clapping, because fans were clapping for what he had to say, and this whole promo was his very own pipe bomb. If CM Punk's pipe bomb in 2011, when John Cena was in the ring laid out, Punk cut that pipe bomb. This was giving me vibes of that, with MJF here. So MJF, like I said, he ended up saying that it's interesting that he hears clapping. Where are these people? He ended up saying, where were these people when they called him unprofessional? MJF ended up telling the guys in the back they can have his spot, because he doesn't want to be here anymore. And you could tell when he walked out at Double or Nothing, his body language, you could tell that he didn't want to be there. So MJF ended up telling the fans they're uneducated marks who sit and tweet their opinions. He ended up telling the fans that they don't know shit, and their opinions suck, and change at the drop of a dime. He ended up saying that people claim they always knew he was a good wrestler. And MJF is a good wrestler. He's that entertaining. He ended up saying that wasn't what they originally said. He ended up saying that it is because he doesn't pretend to watch New Japan or chase star ratings. He ended up saying that he's the best because he makes you feel, and unlike the rest, he doesn't need to do bullshit to get fans there. MJF wants to say that it isn't just the fans who take him for granted. It's the big man in the back as well. So MJF ended up asking who the second biggest minute-for-minute Raw in the company is. It is him. And that they should ask stat boy Tony Khan. He kept saying, don't ask him to pay the man who has been busting his ass for him, and that he should hoard all that money to give it all to the ex-WWE guys who can lace his boots. Yes, MJF in this promo said that. He said WWE, ex-WWE guys. And then everybody was like, oh, which I was like, no, he didn't. He didn't mention WWE on AEW television. That's what I was like at first when he delivered that, when he said that. So MJF ended up asking Tony Khan if he'd treat him better if he was an ex-WWE guy. He kept saying that the only position Tony should have is behind the guardrail. So MJF wanted to say that he doesn't want to wait until 2024. So he ends up begging Tony Khan to fire him. So if you all watching on TBS tonight, because Dynamite airs, of course, on TBS and also on Fight TV. Now, if you watch on TBS like me and probably some of you watching on there, they bleeped what MJF said about Tony Khan. But if you watched it on Fight TV, you heard what MJF ended up calling Tony Khan. And I did see the unedited version of what MJF said to Tony Khan. So basically, he ended up calling Tony Khan a fucking mark. So then MJF's mic ended up getting cut, and that was how it ended. That was how MJF's promo ended. But this was the best promo of the year. This was probably MJF's greatest promo that he has done. Just very good, and just him saying, oh, Tony Khan, are you going to hoard all that money to give it all to the ex-WWE guys? I thought that was great that he mentioned that. And then calling Tony Khan a fucking mark. And while watching this, I was like, okay, this is real and also a work. And if this was real, they would have cut MJF's mic off just as he mentioned Tony Khan. Like all this stuff that MJF said, oh, Tony Khan could hoard all this money to give it all to ex-WWE guys, that wouldn't have been said. So they would have cut off his mic, 10 minutes into the promo, and they didn't do it. So this, in my opinion, was a little bit real because of the articles that mentioned about MJF and Tony Khan. Tony Khan wants to sit down with MJF and talk with him, and also a little bit of a work because, like I said, they would have cut his mic, if he kept mentioning about Tony Khan, but they let it play out. So, but good promo from MJF, the best promo of the year, and one of the greatest MJF promos that he has ever done. It was absolutely entertaining. And then we had Johnny Elite. Johnny Elite ended up making his way out, and he ended up taking on Miro, to which Miro ended up returning on Dynamite tonight. He returned to AEW television, which is awesome. It's been a very long while since we've seen Miro on TV. But Miro ended up appearing, and he ended up saying that he is going to redeem everyone, and the good deeds will bring him back to the kingdom of heaven. Miro wants to say that his neck of sand is fixed, but it is his heart that is broken. So Miro ended up saying that he doesn't wish to come home to his God, and that he wants to take his. So that was what Miro had to say. And then Miro came out and the match got underway, which this was a squash match. But the fans were happy to see Miro. They were cheering him. So Miro ended up attacking Johnny in the corner. He launched him across the ring. Miro ended up delivering a pump kick. He ended up missing, and Johnny ended up responding with a roundhouse kick. So Johnny ended up connecting with a standing shooting star press on Miro. He ended up going for the cover, and Miro ended up kicking out. So Miro then ended up nailing the pump kick. He locked in the game over on Johnny, and that was that. Miro ended up winning the match. Overall squash match, and Miro had to win this in his return to AEW television. Overall squash match. And then we had the Jericho Appreciation Society. They ended up coming out. Angelo Parker ended up saying that the Jericho Appreciation Society dominated the Anarchy in the Arena match. So the AEW Galaxy, as what they call the AEW fans, you have the WWE Universe. Now you have the AEW Galaxy, according to Angelo Parker. So I'm saying that the AEW Galaxy should appreciate them. Matt Menard ended up saying that people will now know that they're the princes of pain because nobody does it better. So Jericho ended up saying that we deserve the Jericho Appreciation Society because they won on Sunday. But winning is not without a price. He ended up saying that they got battered and beaten, and that Eddie Kingston poured gasoline all over him. Yes, that did happen in the match where Kingston ended up pouring gasoline all over Jericho. He ended up saying that Bryan Danielson threatened to kick his head in, but Jake Hager ended up choking him out, and he lost the match. So then we had Eddie Kingston and William Regal. They ended up coming out. Kingston ended up getting on the mic. He was pissed, and he ended up saying that he'll fight all of the Jericho Appreciation Society right now, and that he doesn't care. So Kingston then handed the mic to William Regal, and William Regal ended up saying, "Blood and guts." So then Jericho ended up saying, "Oh, he's not going to get a blood and guts." So Jericho ended up letting the Jericho Appreciation Society on Eddie Kingston. So they ended up tying him up and beating him down on the floor. Ortiz ended up appearing behind Jericho, and Ortiz ended up hitting Jericho with his sock, which had the snooker balls in it. So he nailed Jericho in the head with it. And so Ortiz had scissors in hands. So Ortiz ended up cutting little pieces of Jericho's hair. And so Jericho was like, "You cut my hair!" And Jericho was like, "You got the blood and guts match." So Jericho ended up saying that he wants something as well. Jericho ended up saying that he's going to shave Ortiz bald. So Jericho ended up won a hair versus hair match. So Jericho ended up saying that he will beat Ortiz, shave him, and burn him because he's a wizard. So that was what Jericho had to say. He's a wizard. Didn't, on Monday night, Becky Lynch end up saying that she's a wizard? So I'm like, Jericho, are you training Becky to become a wizard also on Monday Night Raw? Behind the scenes? I'm just being sarcastic about that. But It's funny, Jericho calls himself a wizard, but then you have Becky Lynch on Monday Night Raw this past Monday say, "Oh, I'm a wizard." But very enjoyable segment with the Jericho Appreciation Society. We're going to be getting the blood and guts hair versus hair match, with Jericho and Ortiz. If Jericho loses the match, Ortiz ends up shaving Jericho. We might be seeing short hair Jericho again. When Jericho ended up returning to WWE back in 2007, how he had the short hair. We might be seeing Jericho like that again, if he loses the match. But overall, like I said, enjoyable segment with the Jericho Appreciation Society. And then we saw a video package shown of Samoa Joe being attacked after Double or Nothing by Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. We saw that. When are we going to see Satnam Singh in the ring having a match? So we saw that, the video package. And then we had the 10-man tag team match where it was the Young Bucks and Redragon and Hiku, I think that's how you pronounce his name, versus the Jurassic Express, Christian Cage, Darby Allin, and Matt Hardy. Pretty entertaining 10-man tag. Yeah, Jungle Boy ended up taking down Bobby Fish. He tagged in Christian. And we had Jungle Boy and Christian work together. They ended up doing some double hip tosses on Bobby Fish. Matt Hardy ended up coming in. He ended up dropping down an elbow from the second rope onto Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish ended up reversing the twist of fate from Matt Hardy. And Bobby Fish delivered a sharp kick to Matt Hardy. Matt Jackson ended up coming in. He ended up getting attacked in the corner by Christian. And he ended up nailing a swinging DDT on Matt Jackson. Christian then ended up standing on Matt Jackson's back, pulling the top rope over him, followed up with a slap. Jungle Boy then ended up taking Bobby Fish down as Bobby Fish tried to get involved. Christian then dived onto Matt Jackson, and we had a brawl ensue in the ring. Darby Allin then ended up diving to the outside, and the Jurassic Express ended up diving out, taking down Redragon, Hiku, and the Young Bucks. Matt Jackson ended up hitting a super kick to Christian Cage. Nick ended up diving off the top rope to take down everyone on the outside. Christian almost catched Matt Jackson with an inside cradle. Hiku then ended up stepping in. He ended up beginning to dominate, and he ended up sending Christian into the second turnbuckle. So we had later on in the match, Matt Jackson, or not Matt Jackson, Matt Hardy ended up beginning his delete turnbuckle attack to the Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. So at the end of the match, we had the Bucks end up hitting the BT trigger and the Meltzer driver to Jungle Boy. They end up going for the cover. And there you go. Hiku, the Young Bucks, and Redragon ended up winning the match. Post-match, Matt Hardy was looking to show respect to Jungle Boy, and Christian ended up pushing him away. And that was basically that. But overall, this was an enjoyable 10-man tag. And then we had Keithley and Strickland backstage. And they were being interviewed. Swerve had some friends of his there that was present. Keithley ended up saying that whether it is tag, the gold came before, and it will come again, and they can swerve in their glory. So Keithley and Strickland, they want, the AEW World Tag Team titles. But that was that. And then we had Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was on the stage, and he ended up introducing Athena. And he welcomed her to AEW. Good to see, Athena, aka Amber Moon, on TV again. Making her Dynamite debut here. So Athena ended up saying that she is all elite, baby. And it's not a surprise why she's here. She is the top competition. Athena ended up saying that all streaks are made to be broken. And she's the one to break Jay's. So she can say this or that. And then Jade Cargill ended up interrupting Athena. Cargill ended up telling Tony Schiavone to cut the shit. So Jade Cargill ended up appearing with her baddies, Red Velvet and Kiera Hogan. And she ended up introducing Stokely Hathaway. So Stokely got on the mic. He ended up saying that it is a shame. And as her publicist, he is letting everyone know that Jade is a queen and a goddess. Hathaway ended up saying that he knows Athena wants a shot at the TBS Championship, but not today. So then Kiera Hogan ended up getting in Athena's face. Anna Jay ended up coming out. And then Chris Statlander ended up appearing. And pretty much that was basically that. But good to see Athena, in AEW now, making her Dynamite debut. But it was a enjoyable segment. And then we had Warlow versus JD Drake squash match. You have Warlow coming off his Double or Nothing match with MJF, where he ended up defeating him. So we had JD Drake end up looking to go for a chop at Warlow, but Warlow ended up delivering a huge lariat to JD Drake. Warlow ended up driving his opponent into the corner, planting him down on the mat. And then Warlow did the Powerbomb Symphony on JD Drake. He ended up getting the win. I say, there you go. Warlow ended up winning the match. Very, squash match. Post-match, we had Mark Sterling end up coming out because Tony Schiavone was going to interview Warlow. And Mark Sterling ended up coming down. Mark Sterling came down with security. Sterling ended up serving Warlow a lawsuit on behalf of the American Arena security. And, of course, it was the security that Warlow took out last week. So we had one of the security guys getting laid out by Warlow. Warlow ended up powerbombing the security guy who served him the papers. Warlow then ripped up the papers, and he ended up putting the paper in the guard's mouth, the security guard's mouth. And pretty much that was that. So Mark Sterling trying to sue Warlow for Warlow attacking the security. So that was that. And then we had Toni Storm and Ruby Soho versus Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. Toni Storm and Ruby Soho, two women that I wish won the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Well, I would have enjoyed, if it was Toni Storm that won it or Ruby Soho. Originally, I thought that Ruby Soho was going to win the tournament, but they gave it to Britt Baker. So this was a solid women's tag team match. Jamie Hayter ended up distracting Toni Storm to start off the match, which allowed Britt Baker to get some shots in at Toni Storm. Toni Storm came back, and it led to Britt Baker running away, and she was bragging about her title from the Owen Hart Cup. Ruby was able to tag in, and she ended up getting a big boot delivered by Jamie Hayter. Britt Baker then ended up sweeping Ruby's leg as she delivered a twisted neck breaker to Ruby on the floor. So Britt Baker was stomping away at Ruby. She ended up taking control with a forearm. So we had Toni Storm end up getting planted on the floor by Jamie Hayter. Ruby Soho ended up dropping down to Hayter, and she ended up in a sling blade. Toni Storm ended up slamming down Jamie Hayter to turn the match around. Soho ended up taking in, looking to go for a foot stomp, but she ended up missing, and she ran into a thrust kick. So at the end of the match, we had Ruby Soho end up delivering the Destination Unknown onto Jamie Hayter. So there you go. Toni Storm and Ruby Soho ended up winning the match. Post-match, Jamie Hayter ended up using Britt Baker's title, the Owen Hart belt, to knock out both Ruby Soho and Toni Storm. And it left Ruby Soho and Toni Storm laying down. And that was basically that. But overall, it was a solid women's tag team match. And then we had the main event. Danny Garcia versus Jon Moxley. Now, this was a very good match. And before the match got underway, we had two celebrities in the crowd there tonight. We saw Vince Vaughn was in the crowd. And then Macaulay Culkin, which Macaulay Culkin is a huge wrestling fan. So we saw them two in the crowd. And the match got underway with Danny Garcia and Jon Moxley. Moxley delivered a hammerlock to Danny Garcia and turned it into a side headlock. So they were trading chops. Moxley delivered a snapmare on Garcia. He ended up covering it into a test of strength. Danny Garcia ended up throwing some headbutts, followed up with some punches to Moxley's forehead. And they just went back and forth with some strikes. Moxley ended up taking down Garcia, ended up kicking him in the back. So Garcia ended up charging at Moxley out of the ring. So Moxley was bleeding again. It was from his injury at Double or Nothing on Sunday. So Moxley here was a bloody mess. So Danny Garcia ended up charging Moxley into the ring stairs. And Garcia then ended up drop kicking the stairs into Moxley's knee. So Danny Garcia ended up continuing his attack on Moxley's leg. He ended up twisting Moxley's leg onto the ropes, and he followed up with a figure four. Moxley ended up getting to the ropes. Danny Garcia ended up taking a while to let go of the figure four. Moxley ended up attempting to climb to the top rope. Danny Garcia ended up biting Moxley's head, and Moxley was more bloodied up. Danny Garcia then ended up slamming Moxley from the top rope. He ended up trying to go for the sharpshooter, but Moxley ended up raking Danny Garcia's eyes. Moxley ended up launching Danny Garcia into the air, spinning him and slamming him onto the ring stairs. Moxley ended up taking Danny Garcia to the top turnbuckle. He ended up hitting a suplex, and then he did some elbows to Danny Garcia. Moxley then ended up turning things around. He ended up blocking the cross arm breaker on Danny Garcia, to which Garcia ended up reversing out of it into a submission of his own. And Moxley ended up getting to the ropes. Moxley then connected with a German suplex. And we had Danny Garcia end up following up with a pile driver. He ended up going for the cover, to which Moxley kicked out at two. Danny Garcia then ended up blocking the sharpshooter again on Moxley and up tightening the hold. And we saw them two go back and forth with some huge strikes. So they're spilling out of the ring. They end up brawling over the timekeeper's table. Jericho then headed down to the ring to try and distract Jon Moxley, to which Jericho was on commentary during the match. So Jericho did that. Eddie Kingston ended up coming down, and Moxley ended up nailing the paradigm shift onto Danny Garcia. And then he locked in the bulldog choke on Danny Garcia. So there you go. Moxley ended up winning the match. Post-match, Moxley got on the mic, and he ended up saying to the Jericho Appreciation Society that if they want blood and guts, he'll be there. So there you go. Moxley's going to be in, blood and guts match. So, but overall, good match between Moxley and Danny Garcia. Moxley very bloodied up in this match. But overall, that was Dynamite tonight. Awesome show. Very fun 2 hours. It was one of the best Dynamites of the year. And just a very enjoyable show it was. I would say the show was a 10 out of 10. Very good show it was. But anyways, that's it for the AEW Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, I'll see you all later.